Okay, good morning, everyone. We are on Chav Zayin Amud Aleph. So as the doctor was saying, where the Mishnah discusses different things that are ma'akev each other. That means if you're missing part of it, or you're missing one of the things, then the entire process will be ruined. HaKometz miyuto ma'akev rubo, Chav Zayin Amud Aleph. By the kometz, you need the entire kometz. Isaron, the flour for the kometz, it's flour and water and sometimes oil. Miyuto ma'akev es rubo. So the mi'ut will be ma'akev the ro if you don't have the full amount of flour. Hayayin, in cases where you need wine, mi'ut ma'akev es rubo, you need to have full amount. Hashemen, cases, thank you, where you need oil, mi'ut ma'akev es rubo, you need the whole thing. Hasolas v'Hashem ma'akvin zeh, not just that. In cases where you need flour and oil, you need both of them. And finally, hakometz v'levona ma'akvin zeh, that you need both the kometz and the levona. If you're missing one of them and burning only one of them, it's going to be a problem. Says the Gemara, my taima. Amar Kra, what's the reason? What? Right. Says the Gemara, my time. Amar Kra, melo kumsa, trei zimne. So it's interesting. There's a concept that's known, Shina alav hakasuv la'akev. That if it says something twice, if it repeats something, the first one is to tell you that it's a mitzvah to do it that way, and the second one is la'akev. The second time, because you might think if I just say, if I just tell you once, then that's what I prefer. But if you don't do it, new. If I say it twice, it's what I prefer, but it's not only what I prefer, is that you better do it. And if you don't do it, it's going to be a problem. So it says the Gemara, my time across. So all these things are either going to have a repetition, or they're going to say the word chok, which is a decree that you can't question, or it's going to say like havaya, like haya, v'yeh, which means that it needs to be exactly that way. So my time amakram alokum, so trezimne. Isara on miuto makev esrubo, you have to have the right amount of flour. My time amakram misalta. Shim chasr kol zehu psule. Could have just said misoles. What does it say? Misalta. It's soles. It's flour. It needs to be the right amount of flour. Hayai muto ma'akev esrubo kacha needs to be exactly. Hashemen muto ma'akev esrubo de minchas nesachim kacha. You have different types of shemen. Sometimes you have the shemen that comes with a minchas nesachim, and then sometimes you have the shemen that comes with a regular minchas nedava. So by the minchas nesachim it says kacha. By the minchas nedava, the minchas nesachim are the wine libations that accompany the ola and the shlamim, so it has oil and wine. So by those you need to have kacho. Minchas nadav amakro misham nashim chisar kol shu psulam. By regular mincha, the fact that you need oil, we said there's only certain minchas that don't have any oil, right? We said a minchas chote, etc. But the minchas that have oil, then it has to have the right amount of oil. Says the Gemara, Hashem and vasolos makvin zeh misalto mishamna. You need the right amount of shemen and the right amount of solet. Both of them have a hay. It needs to be that amount. Migarsha, mishamna. Migarsha means you have to have finely ground barley, but that's not our discussion. It says the word levona twice to be ma'akev, shina alav hakasuv la'akev if it says it twice. So the bottom line is from this Mishnah that all of these things need to be brought, and if any of them are missing, either a component of one of them or one of the two pieces by levona and ketores, etc., or shemen and flour by mincha, the entire thing will be pasul. Further, there are other things which are ma'akev zeh, which again would mean that if I only bring one of them, it's going to be a problem. So we know you have shnei seirei yom ha'kippurim ma'akvin zeh. You have to bring two seirim. One's la Hashem and one's la Azazel. One get pushed off the cliff and one goes in and shafted. If you only bring one of them, it's ma'akev. You don't get what you needed. You didn't get the right kapara. Shnei kifsei atzeres ma'akvin zeh, beis chalos ma'akvin zeh. On Shavuos we bring two kvasim, two animals, and also two chalos. And those things again are ma'akev. Each one is ma'akev. They're not ma'akev each other seemingly. Means if you bring both chalos and you don't bring the kifsei atzeres, you'll still be yotzei the chala, it sounds like, unless the Gemara, that's the difference. Either it's within that set, or each set being ma'akev each other. So within those sets, you have to bring both of them. Shnei sdarim ma'akvin zeh, we said you have to bring 6 rows of bread. For the lechem b'panim, you have to bring 2 rows, 6 and 6. If you only bring 1 row of 6, it's ma'akev, and you weren't yotzei the mitzvah. Shnei bazikim ma'akvin zeh, you have to bring both spoonfuls of the levona. Hastarim v'bazikim ma'akvin zeh. And over here, it's not just that if you bring all 12 loaves of bread without the 2 spoonfuls of incense, it's going to be okay. You need both the spoonfuls and the loaves of bread, and all of both. Beis minim sheben nazir. By a nazir, he has to bring 2 different types of minim, 2 different types of breads. He has to bring regular challah, and he has to bring wafers during the end of his nazirus. Gimel shebe para. By the para aduma. Again, there's a lot of interesting concepts here. By the para aduma, so we know that you mix the ashes, but while you're burning the para aduma to make the ashes, you need to also throw a few other things in the fire. You have to throw in 3 things. You have to throw in eitz erez, ezov, ushni tolas. While you're burning the parah aduma, in order to get the ashes to then make the water to sprinkle on the person, chad gadya. So what do you need to do? You need to put in 3 things. You have to put in an eitz erez, ezov, ushni tolas. You have to put in a hyssop, cedar wood, and a strip of red wool. What's interesting about the ezov, the hyssop? We also know that that's going to be what? That's what they use in Mitzrayim. Whatever this hyssop really is, that's what they use in Mitzrayim to put the blood on the doorpost, as we'll see later on. So again, what I've done, and I just want to repeat myself, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but when you have a daf like this, the key is to pull out the main concepts. Yes, to get the fact that there's ma'akev each other, but we should walk away knowing that there were 3 things put into the parah aduma when they were burning it, and we should walk away knowing what this is and what that is. So there's a bunch of concepts today that I just want to make sure that we walk away knowing what they are. So that's the first one. You burn the parah aduma, you throw the 3 things in. Eitz erez, ezov, ushni tolas. Then you take the ashes, you mix it with water, and you sprinkle it on the person. So this is throwing it into the fire. V'dalet shebetoda. We bring a lot of different breads by Toda. There are 4 different types of breads. Challahs, wafers, etc., crackers. You bring 4 different types of bread when you bring a korban Toda. Dalet shebelulav. There are 4 different parts of the lulav. And again, this means that you need all of them. If you bring a lulav, hadassim, and aravas, and you don't bring an esrog, you're not yotzei the mitzvah. Ve'arba shebemitzora. What are the 4 things by a mitzora? So again, what happens by a mitzora? Amongst the things is he has 2 birds that we kill. We mix the blood of the 2 birds with these 3 things. Eitz erez, ezov, ushni tolas. So it's the same exact things that you're putting into the parah aduma, you're mixing with the blood of the mitzora as well. Ma'akvin zeh. So again, if you would mix the blood with eitz erez and ezov and you wouldn't throw in the stringer of red wool from the kotel, then lemaisa you wouldn't be yotzei the mitzvah. Shiva hazo shebepara makvazu edzu. Again, important. What's the shiva hazo shebepara? This is talking about after you do the parah aduma, right? After you have the parah aduma and before you burn the parah aduma. This is before. Again, afterwards, we said during the burning you throw in the stuff, then you take the ashes and you mix it with water and you sprinkle. Before you burn the parah aduma, which is happening where? Outside of Yerushalayim. Before you burn the parah aduma, you need to go ahead and you need to take some of the blood from the parah aduma that you just shachted. You take it and you sprinkle it. The Kohen sprinkles it 7 times towards the entrance of the Ohel Moed, which would be the entrance of the Mishkan, or in the Beis Hamikdash, seemingly the entrance of the Kodesh, the holy part of the Beis Hamikdash.
All the way back into Yerushalayim and over to the
before it's burned, seemingly. That's what it sounds like. Again, I don't know the Metzius, but it sounds what?
Just towards, he stands there, he just brings it in that direction.
He throws it, sorry, he throws it towards that direction.
towards.
Well, I guess, in the times of the Ohel Moed, so he was shechting it probably right outside of the Mishkan, and he threw it right by the Pesach, because it says in the pasuk he threw a Pesach Ohel Moed.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that. So you're saying that over there by the parah aduma, you're standing at the mountain which you could see into the thing from, and you would sprinkle it towards the Heichal, I guess. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I was actually curious about that because it says Pesach Ohel Moed. I was curious what happened. I thought maybe it would be towards the Kodesh, but right, if you're shechting it outside of the. But did you shecht it outside, or you just burnt it outside? You didn't shecht it inside the Beis Hamikdash? You might have shechted it inside the Beis Hamikdash. If you shechted it inside the Beis Hamikdash, that what? The sreifa is outside, but I'm not sure that the shechting was. Again, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So if you would shecht it inside, then you could just do it right there. I'm not 100% sure. But the point is that the blood needed to be sprinkled towards the entrance of the Ohel Moed, or towards the Kodesh, I would say, whether you're outside or inside. Again, it has to be that direction. That's the para. Zayin hazayu shal beis ben habadim shal parocha shal mizbeach hazav ma'akva zu edzu. This is another important concept. What's this? This is talking about the 3 hazos of Yom Kippur. If you just get this stuff out of today, it was worth coming. What's the 3 hazos of Yom Kippur? So we know that they shecht the sa'ir lahashem and the blood of the goat. Right? So you have blood of goat and the blood of sa'ir lahashem. You have the sa'ir lazazel. So you have the blood of the goat and the blood of the Sar Lashem. And what do you do with them? Separately, the Kohen Gadol sprinkles them twice. First, he sprinkles them 7 times while he's in the Kodesh Kadashim, facing the Aron, with the 2 poles. That's why it's called Bein Abanim, with the 2 poles coming out of the Aron. And he sprinkles them 1 time down and 7 times up. That's the first time he sprinkles them, inside the Kodesh Kadashim. Then he sprinkles it on the Paroches, which separates the Kodesh Kadashim and the thing. If you have the art scroll, and if you flip like 2 or 3 pages, there's actually a diagram, a small diagram of the Azara, I think on 27B something, right there. 27B2. So you see that, the first one he sprinkles in the Kodesh Kadashim over there. Then he sprinkles it on the paroches, which is between the Kodesh Kadashim and the Kodesh. And then he mixes the two bloods together. He comes out of the Kodesh Kadashim, but is still in the Heichal, is still in the Kodesh. Those two words are interchangeable. And then he pours it on the four corners of the Mizbeach HaZahav. And then he sprinkles it again, and then he sprinkles it 7 times on top of the Mizbeach HaZav. So he's sprinkling it in the Kodesh Kadashim separately, the two bloods. He's sprinkling it separately on the parochas. And then together he's sprinkling it on the Mizbeach HaZav. Those are the 3 that we're talking about here. So all 7 hazayos by each one of those, it doesn't say that each one is ma'akev each other, but seemingly they're all ma'akev each other. You have to do all 3 steps. But also each time you have to do a full 7. If you don't do a full 7, then you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So that's what it means. Bein habadim is the aron, ala parochas, and al mizbeach hazav. So that's the Yom Kippur one. Now we understand everything about Yom Kippur. We know everything about paraduma, and we're good to go. Says the Gemara, Shnei sirei Yom Kippurim ma'akvin zeh because it says the word chukah. Again, that's the word chok. Shekif se'at seres an shavuos ma'akvin zeh havaya. Like I said, if it says haya v'aya, it has to be yihiyeh. It needs to be specifically like that. Shtei chalos havaya shnei starin chukah, shnei bezikin chukah, hastarin v'bezikin chukah, shnei minim shebenazir d'chsiv kein ya'aseh. It needs to be specifically like this. We're just quoting all the psukim. Gimel shebepara chukah. Now, this is a complicated one. Arba shebetoda. How do you know you need 4 different types of bread by a toda? Te'ikish lenazir. Because we're making a hekesh to nazir. Now, nazir, it says kein ya'aseh. That by the nazir, you need to have these specific types of bread. So by a toda, which is hekesh to nazir, through a word, as we'll see in a second, you have to have these 4 types of bread. What's the hekesh to nazir? Because it says al zevach toda shlamav, todat shlamav, amar shlamav l'rabot shalmei nazir. So toda shlamav is the toda and the shlamav is the nazir, and therefore you have a hekesh between toda and nazir. Whatever applies to nazir applies to toda as well. Therefore, just like by nazir, the different types of bread that you need to bring are ma'akev, so too by toda you have to bring our ma'akev. And Rashi points out that it works both ways. And you have a hekesh works both ways usually. So what do we learn from? We learn from nazir to toda that the 4 breads are ma'akev. What do we learn from toda to nazir? Rashi says that the ingredients, we learn exactly how much the ingredients have to be, what exactly the ingredients are, we learn from toda to nazir. But that's how we know that a toda is ma'akev, that you have to do all 4 types of bread. Says the Gemara, Ve'arba shebe mitzora, the fact that you need again the blood and the eitz eres izov, eitz eres izov shnitolas, that it's ma'akev, zos tiyatorah-comment. It needs to be this. Dalet shebe lulav, the famous idea, ulikachtem lekichatama. The word ulikachtem, if you break it up, ulikachtem lachem bayom harishon, it needs to be lekichatama. What does tam mean? Like full. It needs to be a full taking, all 4 of the species. So now we have a different of opinion. When we say that they have to be taken, all 4 of them, so he says that just means you have to have all 4 of them. But you don't have to take them together. I could pick up the lulav and shake it. Pick up the aravos and shake them. Pick up the hadassim and shake it. Pick up the esrog and all 4. I just do one after the other. I have to have all 4. They're all ma'akev each other. Ulakicha, ulakachtem. You could say that something is ma'akev each other, that you need all 4. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to bring all 4 together. That's how Rav Chanan bar Rava understands. Meisvei, the problem is we have another brayso that says not only do you need all 4, you need to bring all 4 the way that we bring it, together. Dalamina shabelulav, beige mehen ose peros. Which ones make peros? Which ones are fruits? The lulav and the esrog. Ubeis mehanenos and peros. The hadassim and the aravos are not ones, even though the hadassim smells nice, it's not one that makes peros. Haos and peros use zukukin le she'enos, and she'enos and peros use zukukin le'os and peros. So the first thing that we have is that you need all 4 of them. Everybody agrees to that. But this adds, they need to be bound up together, which is what we do. When the Jewish people are fasting and calling out on Yom Kippur or another fast day, they need to be together. You have to be, again, together, and therefore, at the end of the day, you have to be bound. But we clearly see that there's a brisa that says that not only do you need all 4, you need to bind them. And you just told me that you need all 4, but you don't need to bind them. Says Gemara Tanahi, it's machlokes. Ditani lula ben agud ben sheino agud kasher. Rebu domer agud kasher sheino agud pas. So there's a machlokes whether it's kasher. The first opinion says it's kasher even if you don't bind it, and the second opinion says it's kasher only if you bind it. My time at Rabbi Yehuda. What's the reason of Rabbi Yehuda that it's possible if you don't bind it? Gemar, because it says kicha me'aguda seizav. Because again, ulakachtem, he can't say ulakachtem lekicha tama. It needs to be complete. You can't say, well, that means you have to bind it, because we just said it needs to be complete. Just means that you need all 4 of them. How do you know you have to bind them together? Aguda? That's another thing, not from ulekachtem, but from the fact that it says lekicha, right? We know another way, right? The rabbi quoted in his drasha last Shabbos that we have that same idea, kicha mistei Ephron. We say that a woman can be nikne bekesef b'shtar b'biyah. How do you know that you can acquire a woman b'kedushin with kesef? Kicha mistei Ephron. It says that you take a woman. It says that Avram bought the field. Therefore, from stei Ephron, when he bought the field with kesef, we know that you can acquire a woman with kesef as well. Here's a different kicha. Here it's not kicha from Avram. Now it's kicha me'agudas Ezov. Like I told you, it says that you need to take the hyssop. You need to take a bunch of hyssop and you need to apply the blood on the door by Yitzias Mitzrayim. We said that this bunch of hyssop needs to be bound together. Just like there, that hyssop needs to be bound together. It says ulekachtem, it needs to be bound together. So too over here, when it says ulekachtem, that you have to take the esrog, hadas, maravas, and the lulav, it needs to be bound together as well. Malal baguda afkan baguda v'rabbanan lo gamri kicha. This is another important concept for today. We know that anytime that there's a gezerat shava, anytime you make a limud like that, or you make a hekesh, or you make a limud between two different words, you have to have a tradition from your rabbis. You have to have a tradition. You can't just go ahead and say, oh, it says ulekachtem here. It says ulekachtem a lot of places. I can't just make any gezerat shava and say ulekachtem, so therefore I have to bring my lulav and esrog with money, because it says ulekachtem by Avram Avinu. Therefore it's kesef. Obviously, you don't do that. You only do it when you have a tradition. So he had a tradition from his rabbis, from his people before him, to make this combination, to make this connection, ulekachtem lachem. Therefore, by the lulav and esrog, it needs to be bound. And the Rabbanan didn't have that tradition to make that kicha from agudas Ezov, and therefore they said it doesn't have to be bound. Says the Gemara, there's only one problem. We have another brisa, kimanazol hadetanya, which doesn't seem to go like anybody. Because again, right now, it sounds like Rabbanan say, what? Rabbanan say it does not have to be bound. And Rabbi Yehuda says it must be bound, right? And there's nothing to talk about. Tanya, lulav mitzvah la'agdo, vim lo agdo kasher. This is the third opinion. There's a mitzvah to do it, but if you don't do it, it's still kasher. I don't understand. You just told me that Rabbi Yehuda says, even lechatchila, right? Rabbi Yehuda says that what? That it's possible if you don't do it. And the Rabbanan say, if you do it, if you don't do it, it's kasher. So what does it mean, mitzvah to do it? It's either okay to do it, either you don't have to do it, or you have to do it. What does that mean? It's a mitzvah to do it, but if you don't do it, it's still kosher. That sounds like b'di'evet. Says Gemara, come on. Ika Rabbi Yehuda, lo agdo my kosher. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it can't be that if you don't do it, you're still yotzei. He said, if you don't do it, you're not yotzei. I Rabbanan, my mitzvah. If it's Rabbanan, you just finished telling me, Rabbanan say you do not have to go ahead. If I say I don't have to do something today, and I do it, I don't get a mitzvah for doing it. I don't have to do it. So I don't have to bind them together. Then what does that mean? I get a mitzvah for binding them together. So what's the answer? La'olam Rabbanan, my mitzvah, another important concept. Mishum zekeli ve'anveyu. There's a concept that you should be hisna lefana b'mitzvos. You should go above and beyond. You go above and beyond for people you love. You go above and beyond for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So according to Rabbanan, you're right. It's kosher even if you don't bind them together. It's interesting. We don't pass like the Rabbanan here. We actually bind them together. But zekeli vanveyu, because of zekeli vanveyu, we want to make the mitzvah beautiful. We bind them nevertheless. But it's a mitzvah to do it. If you don't do it, you'll still be yotzei, and that's how we paskin. Im lo agdo kasher, you're still yotzei if you don't put them. So it's a hitter.
It's a hitter.
So it sounds like actually we sounds like we do paskin like Rabbanan.
Ikar is not a mitzvah.
We do paskin like Rabbanan. We're saying that the ikar of bringing all four is a mitzvah, but the ikar of binding them together is not a mitzvah. So it's a triple header. Why only a triple header? It's a quadruple header. Okay, says the Gemara. Put on your thinking caps. Sheva hazot shebepar makvazu etzu chuka. Sheva hazot shal beis abadim v'shal mizbach hazav v'shal paros makvazu etzu. Diyoma. So now we said you have to do the 7 sprinklings, right? You have to do them 3 times. It's the 7 sprinklings. Now, how many chatas pnimioses are there? Another important concept. How many chatas pnimioses are there? How many chatas are there that get put on the base on the inner altar? 5. There's 2 of them on Yom Kippur. These 2. The Sa'ir, Lashem, and the goat. And then you have 3 other ones. What are the 3 other ones? The Chatas Kohen Gadol, which is what we're calling the Par Kohen Mashuach. Right? If the Kohen Gadol sins. The Par Helim Davar Shel Tzibor. If they go ahead and the whole community makes a mistake based on a ruling of the Sanhedrin that's wrong. And what's the last one? If the entire community serves Avodah Zarah. Those 3 chatases plus the 2 of Yom Kippur are chatas pnimios. So says the Gemara, these 3 sprinklings have to be done not only by the Yom Kippur one, not the Kodesh Kadashim one is not done by the other 2, but the other 2 are done. Sorry, the Kodesh Kadashim one is not done by the other 3, by the Par Elim Davar and the Par Kohen Mashuach and the Avodah Zarah one, but the other 2 are done, the one by the Paroches and the one on top of the Mizbeach Hazav. You don't do it from the Paroches inside, you do it on the Paroches from the outside. So says the Gemara, that the fact that we need all 7 by Yom Kippurim, it says Chuka, Ksiv Chuka. The par koy mashuach par helim davar shel tzibor sir avodas kacham. How do you know it? Detanya kedetanya va'asal par kasher asal par ma tamud lomar. It says all of the dinim by Rashi says it says all the dinim by the par helim davar, and then it says all the dinim by the par koy mashiach, and it says that the dinim are the same, and then it says vasita la par kasher asal par. It repeats itself. Basically, it's like me telling you, here's the instructions for A, and then I tell you, here's the instructions for B, which are exactly the same. And then I tell you, you should do for B exactly what you did for A. That last sentence, you should do for B exactly what you should do for A, is superfluous, because you just told me, here's A, here's B, they happen to be the same. So don't tell me that. What's it saying? What do we say happens when you repeat it? When you repeat it, you're not just telling me the instructions again. You're saying those instructions that I told you, both for A and for B and for C, they're not just mitzvahs, but they're actually ma'akev. Shina lavakasav la'akev. Matam lomer lichbol behazos. Shimchisar achas min hamatanos lo asa klum. So again, by Yom Kippurim, those 2, it says chukah. Those 2, that means, again, you have to not only do the 3 sprinklings on Yom Kippur, which is really 6, it's really 5 sprinklings, right? The first 2, again, are 2 different bloods, and then the mix together. Those 5 sprinklings, you don't only have to do all of them, you have to do all of them 7 times. And then, again, we learn to the other 3 chatas pnimios that you have to do 7 sprinklings for each. Okay. Tana Rabbanan. Sheva hazal shebepara she'asan bein shelo lishman bein shelo mechuvanos psulos. So I just told you before that by the paraduma, we said that after you go ahead and shech the paraduma, the Kohen takes the blood and he sprinkles it 7 times towards the Pesach Olam Moed or towards the Kodesh. So those things need to be done lishma and mechuvanos. That means it needs to be done for the sake of what you're doing, and it needs to be sent towards, which is which way? West. It needs to be sprinkled westward towards the entrance of the Olam Moed, towards the entrance of the Kodesh. If you don't do it lishma, and you don't do it the right way, it's pasul. Now it's interesting, we know that the reason it's pasul shelo lishman is what? Because it's a chatas. And if you remember, we keep saying that any chatas avoda that's done shelo lishman will be pasul, as opposed to other korbanos which not necessarily will it be pasul. So over here, it has to be for sure lishma, but if you do it in the wrong direction, it's pasul also. Says the Gemara, v'sheb bifnim v'sheb b'mitzora shelo lishman psulos. By the ones that are bifnim, again, the par, Kohen Mashiach, the par elim davar, the seir avodas kochavim, the other 3 that I mentioned to you, or even the ones on Yom Kippur, those ones which are chatas pnimios, or the mitzora, which again, the mitzora, some of it is sprinkled towards the Kodesh Kadashim, some of the oil by the mitzora after, right, you have the log of shemen, and you have to go ahead and you have to put it on his, you have to put it on his right ear, his thumb, and his big toe, and then some of that is sprinkled 7 times towards the Kodesh Kadashim. All of those, shelo lishma is pasul. So again, across the board, shelo lishma for these chatases are going to be pasul. Shelo lishma for the para is going to be pasul, because seemingly the para is also considered to be a chatas. However, shelo mechuvanos is kasher. If you don't do it exactly in the right direction by the Yom Kippurim ones, and by the Mitzora ones, it's going to be kosher. So that's the difference. So the paraduma one, for our purposes, the bottom line is the paraduma one needs to be sprinkled in the right direction towards the opening of the Olam Moed, towards the opening of the Kodesh. The problem is, Vatanya gabe para, shelo lishman psulos, which is fine, shelo mechuvanos ksheros. But you have another brisa that says that by the paraduma, if you don't sprinkle it in the right direction, it's still kosher. Says the Gemara, Rav Chisda lo kasher hareb Yehuda harabanan. And we're going to learn a brisa that's going to show us how Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanan. We'll get back to this in a minute. But let's see the brisa in the meantime. Titania, mechusrei kapara shenichnesu lazara b'shogei chayev chatas b'mezid onesh kares. This is where the chart is good on the next page. We said that there's something called mechusrei kapara. A lot of concepts today. Mechusrei kapara means somebody who has to bring a korban besides for going to the mikvah. So if somebody has to bring a korban besides for going to the mikvah, if they go ahead and don't bring the korban, they don't bring the animal, it's as if they never went to the mikvah. They're tamei just like a regular tamei person. What's the punishment for going into the Beis HaMikdash or going into the Azara, which seemingly includes both the Ezras Yisrael? I'm not sure over there why it says court. I thought the Ezras Yisrael would be included as well, but I'm not sure. But what would be the punishment for going into the courtyard when you're tamei? Well, b'mezid you'll get kares, and anytime mezid is kares, the shogeg is chatas. And for sure, tful yom. Tful yom is somebody that went to the mikveh today, but it's not even shkia yet. He doesn't have to bring korbanos, but he didn't wait until shkia. Or somebody else who's actually tamei never went to the mikveh. Any one of those three who goes into the azara on purpose, kares, and b'shogeg, he gets chatas. U'tehorim shenechnesu lifnim. So a Torah person can go into the azara, but he can't go into the heichal. So a tahor who goes into the heichal, mimichitzas on the heichal kulo be'arbaim. I just want to make it clear before we go further. If you look at that picture, if you don't have the picture, if you want to just show him the picture for 1 second. No, just show it to everybody else has it over there. If you look at the picture, so there's 3 different areas. It's important to realize. So the first one that says courtyard, we're talking about a tamei person going in. But now, what about a non-tamei person? He could go into the courtyard, but now you see what he calls the heichal, the antechamber, right? There's 3 different levels of, well, we'll see 3 different levels, but 2 of them are going to be the same. You have the kodesh, which is where the mizbeach, the menorah is. That's the heichal we're calling. Then you go inside of the paroches, which is a kodesh kadashim. And then, as we'll see, you're going to be right in front of the aron. You could go into the kodesh kadashim without being right in front of the aron, because the aron's towards the back, the western wall of the kodesh kadashim. So we're going to say that there are 3 different levels of holiness. Now the pasuk, I'm just going to jump ahead for a second. The pasuk says, "Vayomer Hashem al Moshe daber l'ron achicha v'yavo," because even a kohen who's tahor can't go into the kodesh. V'yavo b'choleis el hakodesh mi beis la paroches el penei hakapores. Asher al aron velo yamus. Now there's 2 different things here. I just want to make it clear. It says al yavo b'choleis el hakodesh. The kodesh is the heichal. Mi beis la paroches is behind the paroches. El penei hakapores, that's not paroches. El penei hakapores is seemingly the curtain that's in front of the aron. Asher al aron velo yamus. So it's interesting. The beginning of the pasuk says al yavo. What's that? That's a lav. What do you get for a lav? Malchus. Then at the end of the pasuk it says velo yamus. You're going to die. So it says in the beginning of the pasuk you get a lav, which is 40, which is malchus, and at the end of the pasuk it says velo yamus. You're going to die. Now what does it say right next to v'al yavo? B'chol eis el hakodesh. So everybody's going to agree that if you go into the kodesh when you're tahor and you're not supposed to, that's right next to the word v'al yavo. You get malchus, and everyone's going to agree that at the end of the pasuk mi beis haparoches el penei hakapores, that if you go right in front of the aron, it says v'lo yamus. You're going to die. So everybody agrees that if you go into the kodesh when you're not supposed to, you get malchus. Everybody's going to agree if you go right in front of the aron, which is here on the west side, you're going to get death. The argument is going to be in between. When you go behind the paroches, but not in front, into the kodesh kadashim, but not in front of the aron. So do we go to the beginning of the pasuk and say, well, now you are over v'al yavo, and you get malchus, or do we go to the end of the pasuk and say, now you're over al yamus, and you get death? That's the question. Everybody agrees to the first part, everybody agrees to the last part. The question is, do you get death or malchus when you go into the kodesh kadashim, but don't go in front of the aron?
If you're not telling me, why can't you go in? I mean, I only went.
The pasuk says, "Vayavo b'choleis al hakodesh meitz habroches." If you're nobody's allowed to go into the kodesh kadashim.
Is that right, between the curtains? But you said also.
That's not between the curtains. That's in back of the curtains. That's behind the curtains. Only the kohen gadol can go to the kodesh kadashim.
Was it to the heichal? Was there
the heichal? So the heichal again. Even into the heichal, not everybody was able to go. You can't just walk into the heichal as a kohen. You can walk into the where the mizbeach is, where the outer mizbeach is, but you can't walk into the kohen. Only certain kohenim can walk in.
Third spot.
The third spot is on the other side. You have the paroches here, which is 2, right there, on the other side of the paroches, not in between the paroches. You have to go, the reason that the paroches was set up like that is so that you couldn't see in. So it would be like a small spot here, and then you'd walk around, and then there'd be a small opening here. So we're talking about, this is the first part, the kodesh. This is where you definitely get malchus, if you're not supposed to be there. This, right in front of the ark, is where you get, it's saying the picture isn't drawn to scale. There's more space between the paroches and the ark. So if you go right in front of the ark, you get death. If you're in this space between the paroches, you walked into the kodesh kadashim, but you didn't go towards the ark. Let's say you walk in and now you go straight. You walk along this right wall. There, you're not going right in front of the ark. That's where the machlokes is. Are you going to get death for that, or are you just going to get malchus for that? That's the question. In the kodesh kadashim. That's the question. Says the Gemara. So everybody agrees to that. So the Rabbanan say, what? That middle spot, when you walk in without going to the ark, you still get misa. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, kol heichal kulo umi beis la paroches arbaim. That middle spot again, which is the only thing that they're arguing about, that middle spot you'll get arbaim for, but you won't get death for. Ve'el penei hakapores b'misa. But if you go right in front of the aron, you'll get misa. Says Gemara, b'mai kamiflagi, b'haikra. Vayomer Shem Moshe daber l'ron achicha vayivo b'choleis el hakodesh meis al paroches, el penei hakapores hashel aron v'lo yamus, rabbanan savrei el hakodesh b'lo yavo. That's what we said. Everybody agrees to that. Everybody agrees, if you go into the Kodesh, you get Malchus. Mi beis la paroches v'al penei hakaporos below yamus. Again, that's exactly what I told you. The middle one, which is mi beis la paroches, into the Kodesh Kadashim, on the other side of the paroches, it goes to the end of the pasuk, v'lo yamus. For Rabbi Yehuda Savar, el hakodesh mi beis la paroches below yavo. The middle one gets hooked on to the beginning part of al yavo, which is only a lav, which is only Malchus. V'al penei hakaporos below yamus. That's the machlokes. So now we want to understand, well, it's very nice, it sounds beautiful, but what's the svara behind it? What's the svara for the Rabbanan that going into the Kodesh Kadashim, you'll get Misa? And what's the svara for Rabbi Yehuda that going into the Kodesh Kadashim, you'll only get Malchus? Says Gemara, my time at Dir Rabbanan. What's the reason for Rabbanan? Says the Gemara, again, we're just concentrating on that middle spot. If it's like you, Rabbi Yehuda, said that what? That when you go into the Kodesh Kadashim without going in front of the ark, you're going to get Malchus, then what? Lichtov Rachmana, what should it have said? El HaKodesh, V'el Penei HaKapores, V'lo boi mi beis la paroches, Va'ana amina heichal mechayev mi beis la paroches mi bai. Very interesting svara. The Rabbanan say, I don't understand. If it was true that you got Malchus for going into there, so then it shouldn't have even said it at all. It should have just said that you get Malchus for going into the heichal, you get death for going in front of the ark, and we would have known that you get Malchus also for going into the thing, because you only get death for going in front of the ark. And if it didn't say you get death for going into the thing, it's no better than going into the heichal. So if I know, again, the given is, if I know you get Malchus for going into the heichal, and you get death for going in front of the ark, and I said, well, what happens if I go into the Kodesh Kadashim and not in front of the ark? Well, the pasuk says you only get death for going in front of the ark, not for going. So then what's it going to be? By default, we're going to treat it like going into the heichal, and you'll get Malchus. That's what it should have said. V'lo boi mi beis ha-paroches v'ana amina heichal mechayim mi beis ha-paroches mi bai mi beis ha-paroches mi bai mi beis ha-paroches echaz rachmana lamali shma mina b'misa. The fact that it writes it when it didn't have to write it is telling me that if I didn't write it, you would have thought what? You would have thought like Rabbi Yehuda that you only get Malchus. Therefore, I'm specifically writing it to tell you that you don't get Malchus for going into the Kodesh Kadashim. You actually get Misa for going into the Kodesh Kadashim. That's the Rabbanan Svara. For Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda will say to you, I kasa rachmana el hakodesh v'lo kasa mi beis la paroches hava mina my kodesh mi beis la paroches aval heichal lav namilo. And the Rabbi Yehuda says back to him, well, no, you couldn't have done that, because what would have happened if it wouldn't have written this middle part? It wouldn't have written mi beis la paroches. What would I have thought? I would have thought that what? That when it says kodesh and you get Malchus for kodesh, what's that referring to? It's referring to the Kodesh Kadashim. And if you just go into the Kodesh, you don't get anything. Therefore, I needed to tell you that there's actually 3 levels, even though 2 of them have the same punishment, but there are 3 levels. There's the Kodesh, which you're going to get punished for, Malchus. There's Mi Beis HaParoches, which you're going to get punished for, Malchus. And then there's the Misa, which if you go in front of the ark. But I needed to tell you that middle one. Telling me that you didn't have to tell me the middle one is not true. I needed to tell you the middle one, because if you didn't tell me the middle one, I would have thought that El HaKodesh, the lav of El HaKodesh, is referring to inside the Kodesh Kadashim. And if I just go into the Heichal when I'm Tahor, I don't get anything. And that's not true. So I need to tell you both. For Rabbanan Ahulo Matzis Amras to Heichal Kulo Ikre Kodesh. Shenemar v'ivdila paroches lachem bein HaKodesh uvein Kodesh HaKodashim. And Rabbanan will say back to them, that's ridiculous. Nobody would think that when it says Kodesh, it's talking about only the Kodesh Kadashim. We have another pasuk that says Kodesh and Kodesh Kadashim. So we would know that Kodesh means Heichal, and Kodesh Kadashim means Kodesh Kadashim. So they have this argument back and forth, and that's why the Rabbanan in essence say. But if I ask you, why did the Rabbanan say what they said? The Rabbanan said what they said because they feel that according to Rabbi Yehuda, if you're going to get Malchus for going into the Kodesh Kadashim without going up to the, if you're getting Malchus just like the Heichal, it didn't have to say it. You could have just said, you get malchus for going into the Kodesh, you get misa for going in front of the ark, and if I say, well, what do you get for going into the Kodesh Kadashim without going in front of the ark, I would say, well, if it doesn't tell me that you get misa, then clearly you get malchus. That's the argument of the Rabbanan. What's Rabbi Yehuda's argument? Says Rabbi Yehuda, my taima. Rabbi Yehuda, my taima. Isa kadaita kidikami Rabbanan. So why do they say that they're going to learn the pasuk to tell me that if you go into the Kodesh Kadashim, you get malchus and not misa unless you go in front of the ark? Because if it was true that you get misa for going into the Kodesh Kadashim, lichtov rachmana el hakodesh umi beis la paroches v'lo bai el panei hakapores v'ana amina mi beis la paroches misa el panei hakapores mi bai el panei hakapores dechasar rachmana lamali shma mina el panei hakapores mi misa mi beis la paroches be'asara. He has a very stark proof. He says, I don't understand. You're telling me, Rabbanan, that you get malchus for going into the Kodesh, and you get misa for both going into the Kodesh Kadashim and for going in front of the ark. Says Rabbi Yehuda, that's ridiculous. So you have to tell me all three. Tell me you get malchus for what? For going into the Kodesh, and you get misa for going into the Kodesh Kadashim. What do you have to tell me then that you get misa for going in front of the ark? If you tell me you get misa for going into the Kodesh Kadashim, how much, like, what else can I get for going in front of the ark? Once I'm in there, I might as well go all the way. What am I stopping here for? I'm dead man walking anyway. So says the Gemara, according to Rabbi Yehuda, what do you have to, so Rabbi Yehuda says, it can't be the way you're learning. I know you have a tain on me, but I have a bigger tain on you. Because at the end of the day, if I walk in, I'm dead. So why does the buzzer have to tell me, you're dead if you walk in, and by the way, if you go to the ark, you're dead? Yeah, Shkaya, thank you. Says the Gemara, Virabanan, Hachanami dilot sarach. You're right. Rabbanan say you're right. Once I'm telling you you're dead for going into the Kodesh Kadashim, I don't have to tell you you're dead for going in front of the ark. V'hai dekasar rachmana al panei hakapores, it's a different thing. Lema'ute derech mishupash. So why does it tell me that you get misa if you go in front of the ark? Says Rashi, gives a few different understandings. I just want to give you one. It's to teach us something else. It's to teach us, yes, you get misa for going into the Kodesh Kadashim. But it needs to tell you that you only get misa if you go into the Kodesh Kadashim in front of the ark. What does that mean? So Rashi explains two different things. First of all, he says that if you walk into the Kodesh Kadashim and you go to the right and you don't go straight, you're not going to get. But the bigger chiddush he has is that what happens if you dig a hole in one of the other three entrances? We're going in through the eastern entrance, right? You're going in this way. This is west. You're going in through the eastern entrance. So let's say you would dig, just theoretically, you're not going to, but the point is that if you're able to get in there another way, if you're able to dig underneath the north or the south or the east side, and you actually, or the west side, and you get in, then Lamaisa you're not going to get kares for that. It's only if you walk in through the regular entrance that you're going to get misa. That's the limit. If you see Rashi over here, the word mishupash means like abnormal. L'mote derech mishupash. It's a fifth wide line in Rashi. Go mishubash. Shechatar hachoma shel lifnai v'lifnim v'asa pesach b'daron o b'tzafon v'nichnas v'lo nichnas b'pesach sheb'mizrach sheyepanav l'marav. So it's telling me that you're only going to get it el penei hakor. It's only if you go in the regular way do you get misa, but if you don't go in the regular way, you don't get misa.
But he does the digging.
He does the digging.
He punished for the digging also.
He should or shouldn't.
But
He will. He's going to be punished. Nobody's going to like him, but he's not going to get misa. He's not going to get misa. The point is that it has to tell you that it's only, right? Again, how's he answering the question? He's saying, what do you have to tell me twice? You get misa for going in and in front of the ark. The second time when it says you only get misa in front of the ark, you're right, you don't need it, but it's teaching me that this misa that you told me that you get for going in is basically limiting. Right, usually we have that. If you tell me again, it's limiting something. So it's limiting the misa that you get for going into the Kodesh Kadashim to going into the Kodesh Kadashim in the regular way. If you go into the Kodesh Kadashim in an abnormal way, or as the second shot in Rashi says, again, you walk into the Kodesh Kadashim, but you don't walk straight, even if you don't get near the ark. You don't walk straight. You walk into the Kodesh Kadashim and then you hug like you see over there on the wall, and you basically stand along the wall, then you're not going to get misa.
So the distance between yourself and the ark
is enough of a distance to say that you're not in front of the ark.
Because at some point, which wall are you hugging when you come out of the right?
It sounds like the right side. You're hugging to the right.
The east.
The east,
Well,
no.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The north or this, whichever wall that is.
Well,
You're walking in. You're coming in here, and it's
you're going to come through on the north.
Right, and instead of walking this way towards the ark, you just, let's say, walk around this way. You don't actually walk ever in front of the ark.
Oh, I see. You hug the.
In front of the ark means
northwest or south.
In front of the ark means on the eastern side of the ark. Right, you're walking in from the east.
Correct.
So in front of the ark seems to be on the eastern side of the ark. which is again why when you're sprinkling the paraduma, we say, like we were talking about before, when they shech the paraduma, they're shechting it on the top of a mountain. He had a great diagram. They're shechting it on top of the mountain, which from that top of the mountain, you could literally see right into, right, you can see right into the heichal, into the eastern part. It's fascinating stuff. The more we do, the more geschmack it gets. Says the Gemara. I've been waiting to say that for a long time. Says the Gemara, Kidetana debei Rabbi Zev ben Yaakov. El penei akaporas kedma, zeb banaav. Kol makom shneimar penei, eino ella penei kadim. So again, it says el penei. You have to do it el penei. It has to be kadim. That again, you're only chayiv if you enter from the penei kedem, from the east, not by tunneling in or going straight to the side when you enter. For Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda lema kra penei. According to Rabbi Yehuda again, Rabbi Yehuda is going to argue. This is only according to the Rabbanan. According to Rabbi Yehuda, what happens? According to Rabbi Yehuda, how is he going to learn that you're putter if you dig in? Right? Because according to him, he needs that limit of El Panei HaKabaras, right? He needed it to teach me that you get Malkos and then Misa. What does he do? How does he learn that if you go in and you dig in, or you go in and you hug the wall, you're not going to get Misa? Because he agrees to that. Lema Kra Pinei. My El Penei. What does it mean when it says El Penei? That you go El Penei HaKaporas, Shma Mina El Dafka. Then whenever it says the word El, and this is why we're bringing this entire page, for this one line. According to Rabbi Yehuda, whenever it says the word El, you're going somewhere El, it needs to be Dafka El. Specifically El. Therefore, I don't need this whole limud of the extra kaporas, and Rabbanan, stop talking me a chinik. When it says El Penei HaKaporas, that teaches me that this El, that when I go in order to get kares, or in order to get misa, needs to be directly in. If I tunnel in from around, then lemaisa, I'm not going to get it. What's the Rabbanan going to say? Rabbanan says you can't learn anything from the word El. For Rabbanan, El lav dafka. But what do we see from here? The bottom line comes out that, again, what's important for us to remember? That there's a machlokas. The important for us to remember is that everybody agrees that if you go into the Azara and you're tamei, you get kares/chatas. Everybody agrees that if you go into the Kodesh when you're tahor and you're not supposed to, you get malchus. Everyone agrees if you walk into the Kodesh Kadashim right in front of the ark, you get misa. And then there's a machlokas whether you get malchus or misa if you go into the Kodesh Kadashim but not right in front of the ark. But what comes out of this whole discussion is that according to Rabbi Yehuda, when it says the word El means dafka. When it says that you need to go this way, you have to face El that way, it's dafka that way. And if you don't face that way, you're ma'akev. Therefore, if you don't face specifically that way when you walk in, you're not going to get misa. If you dig in, you're not going to get it. The Rabbanan don't learn it from there. The Rabbanan learn it from the other part of the pasuk, right? They don't need El for that. They learn it from somewhere else. And therefore, they'll say when it says the word El, it just means you have to face that way. But if you don't face that way, it's not dafka. Let's think back for a second, 20 minutes ago. What was the discussion we were having? We had a machlokas. We had a contradiction. On one hand, it said what? That by the paraduma, when you sprinkle it, it needs to be dafka towards the opening of the heichal. The other one said shalom mechuvanos mechavein, means the right direction. Shalom mechuvanos, not kavana. Shalom mechuvanos, you'll still be yotze. Says the Gemara, which one is it? Rabbi Yehuda says El is dafka. What does it say by sprinkling the paraduma? It says, what does it say by sprinkling the blood? El nochach pnei el moed. El, perfect. So Rabbi Yehuda is the one who says that you need to sprinkle it directly at the opening of the Olam Moed, because El is dafka, and if you don't sprinkle it directly there, it's going to be ma'akev, and it's not going to work. The Rabbanan who say El is lav dafka doesn't necessarily mean directly. They said if you're going here and you sprinkle it over there a little bit, and you sprinkle the blood over there, you're going to be yotze as well. That's how we answered our original question. We brought this entire daf, which we got interesting stuff from, just to answer that question. That's how you answer the steers in the Brisa. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda Damar El Penei HaKaporas in this case is dafka, and therefore you only get misa if you walk straight into the ark. V'hiza el nochach by the paraduma is nami dafka. Rabbana midahasam lav dafka hachanami lav dafka. That's how we answer the question. So again, the Rabbana would say that if you sprinkle the paraduma not exactly towards the heichal, you're yotze, and Rabbi Yehuda would say no, El means El means El, and if you don't spray it directly towards there, you won't be yotze. Maskela Rav Yosef Rabbi Yehuda midel dafka al nami dafka, as we add over there. Well, now there's another problem. If El is dafka, then Al is dafka. Well, what's the problem with saying that Al is dafka? What does it say? It says El Penei HaKaporas. What does it say over there? El Penei HaKaporas. El Penei HaKaporas Al Nami Dafka. El Demikta Sheni Delo Have Aron Rekapores Hachanami Delo Avid Hazos. The problem is that what? It says El Nochach Dafka. Hilkach shalom mechvanat tzuas Rabbana mi de'el pnei lav dafka nami el nocha lav dafka hilkach al nami dafka kolomar. What does it say also in that pasuk? It says al pnei haparo al pnei hakapores. By Yom HaKippurim, this is not by the paraduma. By Yom HaKippurim, it says that you need to sprinkle it al pinei hakapores. You need to sprinkle it al, specifically on the paroches, right? What's the problem? Well, you've just finished telling me that by the paraduma, Rabbi Yehuda, el means dafka, specifically there. Problem is, by Yom HaKippurim, if el means specifically dafka, then al means specifically dafka. If al doesn't mean specifically dafka, then it's okay that there's no ark and there's no paroches at the time of the second temple, according to Rabbanan. You just sprinkle it towards that area, because el or al doesn't mean dafka. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, that el means specifically by the paraduma, right there by the Ohel Moed, then al is also specifically, when it says that by Yom Kippur now, not paraduma, by Yom Kippur you need to sprinkle it where? On the paroches directly. You can't be Yotzei the Mitzvah by the second base just according to Rabbi Yehuda. Because you don't have a paroches. You don't have an aron. What's he going to do? Says the Gemara. El Demida Sheni Delo Avi Aron Vekapores Hachanam Delo Avid Hazos Amar Rabbi Bar Ula Amar Krav V'Chiperes Mikdash HaKodesh Makom HaMekudash LaKodesh. He'll say, of course, it has to be dafka in that spot. It doesn't have to dafka be on the aron. It just has to be on the spot where the aron was. And just one more answer, Rav Amar Hava HaRabbanan. So that's where you say one of the paraduma ones was Rabbanan, one of them was Rabbi Yehuda. Another answer is that both of them are the Rabbanan. If they're both Rabbanan, how do you have that one says that the paraduma needs to be sprinkled specifically towards the opening of the Heichal, and the other one says it doesn't? Hadekai Mizrach Umara Va'adi, Hadekai Tzafon V'daran Va'adi. It doesn't mean specifically right there. They could both be the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan say Lav Dafka, but the Rabbanan still have a limit. The Rabbanan say it doesn't have to be specifically right in front of it doesn't have to be specifically on the dot, but you have to be facing the right direction. So let's say you're standing in front of the Ohel Moed. The Rabbi Yehuda would say you literally have to sprinkle it right in front of the Ohel Moed, directly in front of you. Rabbanan will say you're right. It has to be towards the Ohel Moed. That's what the pasuk says. But when we say that you're not Yotzei, all we meant is that if you're standing this way and the Ohel Moed is there and you go like that, that's not good. But if I'm standing this way and I go a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left, that's going to be okay. And that's what they meant. So they didn't contradict themselves. When they said that on one brayse, a paraduma that's not in the right direction is puzzle, they meant you're facing literally the wrong way. And when they said in the other brayse, you're facing this way and you sprinkle it when the Ohel Moed is there. And when they said that it's Yotzei, what they meant is that as long as you go facing the right direction, even if it's not perfectly directly in front of the opening of the Heichal, if you go a little bit to right, a little bit to left, as long as you're facing the right way, you're good to go. We'll finish in the Mishnah tomorrow.